perv, by Jesse Bering, nytimes.com. Log in. Register now. Help. Homepage. Today's paper. Video. Most popular. Edition, US/global. Search all nytimes.com. Sunday Book Review. World. US. NY/region. Business. Technology. Science. Health. Sports. Opinion. Arts, Art, Design, Books. Sunday Book Review. Bestsellers. Dance, movies, music, television, theater, video, games, events. Style. Travel. Jobs. Real estate. Autos. Acquired tastes. Perv, by Jesse Bering. By Daniel Bergner. Published, October 4, 2013. The Finding of an Object. Sigmund Freud wrote a century ago in his 3 essays on the theory of sexuality, is in fact a refinning of it. The patterns and paths our lusts will take, what we will yearn to do and have done to us, and whom we will wish to do these things with. To a great extent, our erotic longings are laid down early, beginning in childhood and even infancy. Freud has lost currency in recent decades, but few in the field of sex research, no matter how they qualify his premise or dismiss him as unscientific, would argue that our early experiences don't have the power to profoundly shape our later cravings, and to experiments described in Jesse Bering's Perv, the sexual deviant in all of us lend indirect proof. Enlarge this image. Illustration by Lucy Gutierrez. Perv, the sexual deviant in all of us, by Jesse Bering. 265 pages. Error, Strauss-Giroux. $26. Both experiments involve animals. Scientists can't readily tinker with the upbringings of broad samples of human children and track the sexual outcomes, but they can carry out a study in which newborn rat males suckle from mothers whose nipples and genitals have been painted with a lemon fragrance. Such rat pups grew up to be adults that could get fully turned on and climax quickly only with females that had been dabbed with the same perfume their mothers had worn. Or scrambled baby sheep and goats so they're nursed by the opposite species, and then, when they're old enough to seek out sex, let them choose between their foster and biological breeds. The grown males in this study tended to ignore their own kind. Sheep spurned sheep and goats gazed past goats. They lusted instead for the species that had reared them. The females wound up much more flexible, yet still their desires were shaped by the experimental condition. Unlike a female control group brought up by its natural kin, the switched infants became adults attracted equally to sheep and goats. To this pair of experiments, Bering adds the case of Lucy, a chimp raised more or less like a human child in a psychologist's home in the 1960s and 70s. She developed no interest in male chimps. Once she'd blossomed into a young adult, as Bering tells it, a favorite hobby of Lucy's was masturbating to the nude human male centerfolds from the latest issue of Playgirl magazine by carefully spreading out the pages on the floor and then placing her swollen genitals on the image of the man's penis. All of this serves not only as a suggestion of how deeply the erotic regions of our brains are etched during our youngest years, but also as a reminder that even in the realm of sex, where conception and the survival of the species depend on our drives being fairly straightforward, things can get out of whack. Our main, and for some our only, desires may veer far from the standard. It's partly on behalf of those he calls erotic outliers, those whose lusts may bring them much more shame than joy, that Bering, a psychologist, has written Perv. The foot fetishist who wants above all to perform X with a partner's toes and insteps, the zoophile whose overwhelming urges run toward a favorite animal, the masochist who gains fantastic pleasure and even orgasm by enduring all manner of pain, the different deserve compassion and, with some exceptions, full acceptance. Bering's book, written in mostly comic prose, is infused with noble intention. In his preface, he recounts his mortified bruises as a gay teenager 3 decades ago. I stuck my head out the car window and screamed faggot at my older brother, who was then just as he is now, about as straight gets, while he was playing in the street, just to throw off the undercover witch hunters in the neighborhood. Bering celebrates the societal changes that have made being homosexual much easier since that era and declares that his goal now is to save other outliers from being ostracized, mocked and humiliated. So this is a humanizing book, although unfortunately, it's a book mostly devoid of humans. Aside from his own brief memories,